Hi, and welcome to another Flutter tutorial. And today we're going to continue with our MyNelayan application. And today we're going to look at how to display the data back from database to the application. So here, let's consider the following application updates. So at the bottom down here, there are a number of tabs that we built before, and one of the tabs belong to the seller, which is for the um, for the seller itself. So when user click or when seller click on this link, and this is only applicable for login or registered user. So as user click on this seller tab, as you can see, there's a number of items or um, features here, which lists in what we call as a card list grid view. So the way that it works is that when user click on the seller tab, what we have is that the uh, tab basically will request from the database through an API, which all the data belong to the user. So here you have four data that basically uploaded by this particular user. And as we can see from the database, which available through table catches, here there are four data, and all of these data basically belong to the same user ID, which is user ID 1. And all other data basically we have, for example, like bawal putih, lampam Jawa. This is all fish's name, basically loaded from this table list. So how do we do that? How do we load data from database, and how do we build the API? So the first thing that we need to do here is that we need to build our API to be able to load all the data from the database. And here's basically the API that I have built before this. Um, and this is just a very simple API which allow for user to load data this and retrieve all the data through what we call as a select statement. Um, so the backend here called loadcatches.php. What it does is basically it's just a PHP script that check the first section here, check for any post array. Here you don't have to actually use post array. You can also use get array. Use get array here, since this is just a request that we made to the server to the backend. Um, but here the example here I use post array. So um, for post array, so we need to check for post array availability, and here we requested for post array. So we get the user ID from post array user ID, and then we build SQL um, with the user ID through the select statement. So here we use select all from table catches, where user ID is equal user ID, because we just want to load data belong to that particular user only. And then we execute the query and we traverse the database. And here, since we want to return more than one data compared to what you have in login, where we only retrieve one data, which is for the login user. But here, since we want to load multiple data, we need to build what we call as a multidimensional array or two-dimensional array. So in this section here, the if statement basically will check if the query return any result or not. And if the query return any result, the following statement will be, let me just properly build the while statement. So this is basically while statement to traverse the database and then build the multi-dimensional array. So if the result num row is more than 0, means that the data return uh, or found data, it will build this multi-dimensional array through the following. First, we built the base array, the main array, and then we traverse the data for every row. To do the database traversal, we can just use a result fetch association, and then we will loop the data by row. So as we can see here, for every row, we need to build another subsequent array. And then this array basically will store data, or one data belong to that particular entry. So here what we have is we retrieve the data and dump the data from database row. For example, here the catch ID, and dump into catch list array called catch ID. For user ID from database, row array user ID, dump into catch list user ID, and so on and so forth. The right section here, the row section here, this is all belong to the database field name. To the right section here basically belong to the array name. Once we get all the data that we wanted, so you don't have to actually get all the data, just only selected data that you want, then push the data or push the array into the main array for every loop, so that we build the array, and we can have the main array will contain subsequent array. Okay, will contain a row of data. And here we just push the data by using array push function and get the array that we have defined up here and push the array that we have built for every row. And this will loop for how many data that we requested, or the number of row that we retrieve. So once we have everything from the database traversal, then we dump into another array, the response array that we usually use to return all the data back to the application. So we return the operation is success and the data section with the catches arrays. And then we send JSON response to the JSON function at the bottom down here, and then return back to the return all the data to the application. So the else statement here, this is basically just to respond if there's no data requested, or there's no data written, and we just return fail and with no data now. So that's on the back end. It's quite simple. So this is very basic back end for us to be able to retrieve the data. So once we have our back end, and the back end here basically will return the data back to the application. So we need to go to the application back, to the Flutter application back, and go to the Seller tab screen. So the Seller tab screen here will require an update. So the first thing that we need to do now is to load data. So to be able to load the data, we need to build a method. This method, we'll call this method through the init state. And the init state here, there's a method down here called load seller catches. And this method responsible to load the data that we have from our API to what we call as an array list. So the load seller catches, here we'll go to the method at the bottom down here. So there's an HTTP method that requested load catches that we built. And then we need to pass the user ID, which we get from widget.user.id. And then we need for this, because once we retrieve all the data, we need to dump the data into what we call as a list array. So as a list array. But to be able to build the list array object, in this case, we use a list array object. So we need to build what we call as a data model first. So to build the data model, we can just use, or we can just log our response You can print out, but usually log. You can also use log to print out longer data, because sometimes when you use print can only print out a number of response, but you cannot print out the whole response. You can use log to retrieve all the data. So let's try that one more time and see what data that's being returned back from log. So we go back to buyer here and clear our console. So let's see, the log should print out our response body that returned back from the API. So if you go back to seller here, as we can see, this is basically the log that returned from our response HTTP body section. So we need this data because we want to build our data, our model array for the catches. And then from here, once you have your JSON data, you can just take one of the data here, like for example, this data. Let me just take this one of data, not all the data, just one of data. Let's say started from this catch ID and then ended at another catch ID here. So just take this one data from the return response, and here um, you can use JSON to dot class, and you can just paste here and give your class name, like for example catches or catch or whatever the names of the class that you want to use, and generate the class name. So you can use the class name here. It should comes with all the defined variable from the return JSON data, your constructor here, and from JSON and to JSON function. All right, so once we have that, take all the class and create a new model class called catch.dot, and there you go. You have your data model. So once you have your data model, then you can use or you can create what we call a list array. And then the list array will be used, list object array can be used now to dump all the data that we retrieve from our API into list array. So the if section here just to check if the status code return 200, and then if the return 200 means that we have JSON data, JSON data format, and then we can just dump everything into JSON data. All right, so once we dump everything into JSON data, we can check if the JSON data equals success, status equals success, and then here, this section here, this is where we build our array data object. So to be able to build the array data object, what we need now, we need to further extract the data that we have. As you can see, this is the data section here. All this is the data belong to the data section array. And we can use what we call as a for each loop to loop and then create a JSON object. So to create the list array. So the list array that I have defined here called catch list. So to be able to use this, you need to define this first. So the definition provided is here. And we can define this as a list data type with catch data object. So the catch data object, you need to import the catch data object, which is as you can see here. And then we can just further create an empty list array. Okay, so here we create an empty list array object, and then now we can further use that into our HTTP, and then extract all the data and dump all the data into catch list array object by using catch list add. So all the data dumped into extract data can be extracted through here. And for every loop of the for every loop of the JSON data can be extracted and added into the list object by using catch list.add catch from JSON. So this basically will automatically retrieve or extract the data that we have from our response here, and then dump or added into our list array. All right, so this is very important section here to be able to get all the data from our JSON data array and then dump into catch list object. However, you need to, don't forget to clear your list first every time we call this method, or else you will end up with redundant data. So clear the list and then reload the data. So every time we call this method, the cache list will be clear and then refresh with new data. All right, so that's basically the, uh, the retrieval of the data. So next, we want to display the data. Okay, so to be able to display the data in our layout here, we will require to use uh, just one of the widgets available in Flutter called Gridview. So the first section here, the body section of this application, which is the white section here, basically handled by this if statement. So the if statement consists here is basically checking or use the cache list. If the cache list is empty, display the first part here. If the cache list is not empty, list or show the second widget tree here. So that's basically the condition that we put here by checking the checklist is empty or not. If the checklist is empty, display this widget. If the checklist is not empty, display the second widget tree, which is the column section here. And in our case, we have the data, the cache list is not empty, and then it basically will use the second column tree or the widget tree to display the data. So the second widget tree, basically here, the whole layout here, basically divided into two sections. One is for the container, which display the header up here. And the header basically is a container with head 24, color red, and then this is basically just to print out for catch, or we can just catches found. Okay. All right. So once you have that, the second part here is through expanded. So it means that the rest of the UI down here belong to the expanded. And this expanded implement what we call as a grid view widgets. So grid view widget is basically just a widget that able to list item by using grid data structure or grid structure. So here we use grid view count, which will require cross-axis count set to the size. Here I use what we call as a dynamic axis count, which determine through the screen width. Anything with more than 600, the axis count will be 3. Anything less than that, the axis count will be automatically set to true. So it will, based on that information, to determine the number of axis count. And it requires children, and the children here generated through list generate. So list generate widget, and then the list generate widget consists the number of item automatically retrieved through catch list.length. Okay, so if you've got 4 and it will display 4, if 5, it will display 5. And the list generate will require a return, which basically automatically rebuild items, the number of item length that we have through index. So the cut item, the cut widget that we have written, this is all cut. As you can see, this is all cut. Consists of the following widget tree. It consists of inkwell as the parent. You can see this is inkwell, right? So inkwell consists of columns, another columns, which consists of image retrieval widget called catch network image. You need to make sure to install this widget first. Cache network image. Cache network image retrieve the image data by using the catch ID. because we store our data in the server directory by using ID with the file name PNG. And the image URL here is set automatically by using catch list.index.catchid. This is basically how we retrieve our data. So cache list index number dot. Okay, so the dot basically will return the variables, all the variables that we have in our. So the way that the cache network image work is that we require image URL here, and then the image URL that the way that we upload, we insert new items and upload the image is that we store the image into a directory. So we can just retrieve back the image by using the image, the cache ID, and that's basically retrieved through this cache list index with the variable name. And that's basically how cache network image works. And then the rest is just text down here, just the text, this like the item cache name text, the price, and then quantity. So that's basically um, how the cache network image, or how the card works here. So in the card basically consists of each item will be repeated based on the number of items that we have from the cache list array. So it will then automatically list the item here. And if there's four items that retrieve from the database, it will return four items, and if five, it will return five. And for the axis count here, if I change the UI to this, then you should be able to see the item listed as 3 over infinity or 3 over data array. So that is basically how it works. For the dynamic UI that we have through the cross-axis count, and that's basically defined here. That's for display the data as a grid view by using list generate. The other things or functions that I added here is also the on delete dialog through the inkwell. So if you on long click on any other item here, we allow for user to delete, and it's just a simple delete statement where you need to implement the on delete dialog, which is this here. So on delete dialog will require we will require index because we want to pass the index and get the item that we want to delete. And then here you can see delete bawah putih or delete lampam Jawa. So that's basically comes from the index value that we pass to the methods down here. And then we just get all the value from the catch list index. So if we confirm to delete, we can just delete catch, and this is just like any other HTTP request. We just want to delete catch, and we pass. Actually, we can just pass cache ID here to delete, and we will require delete cache.php. And delete cache.php basically just a simple statement with just we get the post array from the HTTP request, build the SQL, delete from table caches where cache ID is equal cache ID, and then execute the cache query, and then return back the response if the operation is a success or not. And then here we just catch back the response, check the status code, check the response body, and then if the response body JSON data status success, we just print out, we just show back our scaffold snack bar, and then refresh back the UI so that we can have we can reload back the data and display back the data that we already deleted and remove that from our list. So that's basically how it works. For the delete cache, it's rather simple operation. And this now can be used later on for buyer tabs here, because for buyer tabs, you want to load all the data or query the data from there. And also here, we have all the data already. And then we can proceed to manipulate the data. For example, after this, you want to click on this, tap on this, and then show the details or do the editing from there. So now you can do anything that you want with the data because you already have the data display through your screen. So I think that's all that I want to share for this session. So see you next time um, for the Flutter tutorial for the MyNelayan application. Thank you.